this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be with Bethany Frankel. Most dog food is marketing, not nutrition. That is why Biggie and Smalls eat just food for dogs, real 100% human-grade food with ingredients I actually recognize. And yes, I do see the difference. Better digestion, healthier skin, more energy, dogs that feel better, my babies. If you've been on the fence about switching, stop overthinking it. What's more important than your furry babies and their health? Go to justfoodfordogs.com right now and get 50% off your first box. No code needed. Just try it.
Tired of spills and stains on your sofa? Wash away your worries with Anabay. Anabay is the only designer sofa that's machine washable inside and out, starting at just $699. Plus, Anabay sofas are pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and feature changeable slip covers and modular pieces. Get up to 60% off site-wide with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Visit washablesofas.com to get yours now. That's washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
There's no championship league for small business owners. But if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation. One-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo.
Hi everybody, I'm Robert Evans, and this is again Behind the Bastards. This is part 2 of our episode on Erik Prince, and with me in the studio today is Miles. How are you doing, Miles?
I'm good. I am great, and I'm itching to know more about Erik Prince because the first episode, first part,
which was like 6 months ago.
Yeah, but I still remember most of it, and it's a testament to the American spirit.
That's a thing. It's a testament to that, among other things. It's a testament to being born with hundreds of millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. Yeah, testament to all of that stuff. Well, what have you been up to in the last 6 months?
Last 6 months.
I don't really care.
Okay.
What's your guess as to what Erik Prince has been getting up to?
I'm going to, if I'm a gambling man and I like to gamble, I'll go with a safe bet, and I'm just going to say crimes against humanity. Just in general. War crimes?
Yes, I mean...
Okay, war crimes. Okay, I'm sorry.
Absolutely, he has been a part of some war crimes that have been committed recently, which we'll talk about later. But more interestingly, I guess I should be more pointed. Do you want to guess as to what Erik Prince has bought since you and I talked last?
Okay, so last time he tried to make that his homemade fucking fighter jet. That went...
did not work out well.
So what's easier? Probably boats.
Ding, ding, ding.
I mean, knowing how Betsy DeVos loves her yachts, it only makes sense that brother Erik is going to be like, let me turn this ship up.
Just within the last few weeks, he purchased, or we'll get into what he did later, but he basically purchased, quote, 3 high-speed catamarans armed with electronically aimed and fired machine guns and cannon, 3 trimarans armed with heavy machine guns and cannon, and drones which could be armed. They are equipped with military-grade surveillance radars and high-speed semi-rigid inflatable boats that can be used to launch commandos and boarding parties from the larger ships.
Wow. Yes. Wait, what was the second kind of boat you said?
A trimaran?
What is that?
It's a boat of some sort, and it has a lot of guns on it.
Right.
I don't know much about boats.
Okay.
But he bought 2 different kinds of boats with a shitload of guns on them.
Can you show me a picture of a catamaran and a trimaran?
Sophie!
Perfect.
All right.
Just so I can wrap my head around. Because isn't a catamaran, like, when I think of a catamaran, I don't think of like a a warfaring boat.
I assume there are armed. I mean,
I think it's
clearly
probably a
there are
basic,
armed
a broader definition.
It's
where,
like a type of boat,
Yeah.
and they just armored this one and put some guns on it. Yeah, yeah. Our Eric. Yeah. So Erik Prince has a. Well,
Oh, okay, so it is a thing with like the three. Okay, because
yeah,
like,
you can
the
put
catamaran
guns
is like
on
the
it,
two-piece
yeah.
thing where you see people. It's like we're in Saint-Tropez and I'm laying
Yeah.
on this net in between the
it's the boat equivalent of those spaceships in Cloud City and
Bespin.
Bespin. Thank
Yes.
you. Yeah, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
that.
Right. I think, which is so funny, like, it's still very, like, waspy, like, old money, like a catamaran, except for war.
Yeah. Well, he, in a little bit of defense to Eric,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't just go buying armed catamarans. He bought the Navy of Mozambique.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Great rates over there.
Well, yes, because their economy collapsed recently because their entire country got taken in by a giant con scam thing.
Wow.
Basically, they wanted to modernize their tuna harvesting fleet and needed like a loan for $800 million, right?
Okay.
Which they got, and which the people of Mozambique were like, yeah, sure, modernize the tuna harvesting fleet, we'll all make more money. But the government, working with shadowy foreign interests, secretly took out an extra $1.2 billion in loans that they used to buy a navy, and they lied about it. And so...
Wait, an extra one?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing is we need $800 million for the tuna fleet.
For the tuna fleet,
and they're
which,
like,
it's a sea-bound nation.
but then you secretly borrow even more than what you
to
tell
buy
them.
a navy.
What the fuck? Okay.
So they bought this navy secretly and lied about it. But once they'd bought it, they'd spent all of their money, so they didn't have enough money to man the navy, which they were planning to lease the navy to a private corporation that would then basically be a for-profit navy based in Mozambique.
So
for
they wanted
the
to
shipping.
Airbnb their fucking navy.
Yeah, that was the plan.
Yeah, just so I get in the black on this thing.
Yeah, but they just didn't. They couldn't actually run the navy, and the whole venture sort of collapsed. And somehow Erik Prince wound up in control of it. Now, it's weird because the first source I found this from was a website that's new to me called Spiked News, which bills itself as an outlet for stories that have been buried or crushed by the daily media noise. So I was a little bit like, is this some fake news bullshit?
Right.
So I looked around and I was able to find other sources on the article that were a little bit less direct than Spiked had been, but said basically the same thing. So I'm going to quote from this Bloomberg article called Erik Prince to Partner with Mozambique's Hidden Debt Companies, which that sounds above board.
Hidden debt companies is one of
those are the companies that helped members of the government of Mozambique take on more loans than the country could afford, which then bankrupted the nation. Yeah.
Hidden debt company will always sound terrible. There's no way to make that sound good.
And these are the people Eric is working with. So, Blackwater Security founder Erik Prince will partner with at least one of the state-owned Mozambican companies at the center of a hidden loan scandal that resulted in the country defaulting on its debt this year. Prince, chairman of the Hong Kong-based Frontier Services Group, is forming a joint venture with the tuna fishing company Amatum and may extend this to assisting the Southeast African nation with maritime security.
Yummy.
I wonder if Erik Prince has a navy now.
It sounds like
sure
it.
sounds like Erik
Sure,
Prince
renting
has
one.
a navy now. Yeah, at least renting a navy.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I don't want to go that. I'm not doing that
Yeah.
well. I'm leasing a navy.
And he's doing some counterterrorism stuff for the country. So yeah, it sounds like he has found a country.
In fucking quotes,
That's-
counterterrorism, whatever that is.
Yeah, he's doing something shady in Mozambique, and now
Right.
he has a navy. So that's good. That's really nice. Yeah. Anyway, we're all caught up. Other than the
He bought a fucking navy.
he bought.
dude.
It's like we bought a zoo, but with war machines.
I know. He bought a catamaran, a trimaran with
No, six of them.
Six
I
of
think
them.
three catamarans and three trimarans,
and plus drones, plus little skiffs, so you can just have boarding
commandos.
parties. Yeah.
because Erik Prince should have more commandos.
Well,
It worked well the last time.
The bodies part he can figure out. It's the getting around the international laws that prohibit private people from owning military hardware that he's mastered.
Yeah, he's
He's really is. He's like
he's focused.
He's focused, if anything. This
He's
is a man
focused.
wú said, "I will have some kind of my own military, army, Air Force,
I
whatever."
want my own militaries.
Right,
and
he's got his ground goons. He's got the ground game worked out. Now he couldn't figure out the skies. Now take him to the sea.
Yep. So he's in the sea. Yeah. And that's where Erik Prince is now. So now that we're all caught up, I would like to talk to you about the book that I just read this week.
Oh, okay.
It's called Civilian Warriors, The Inside Story of Blackwater and the Unsung Heroes of the War on Terror.
Oh, first of all, based on everything we were talking about last time, to call some of these people fucking unsung heroes, holy shit.
Well, the people who saw their heroics couldn't sing because they were too busy screaming.
Right.
Because Blackwater was firing grenades into a crowd.
Right. And they're like, I'm sorry, man. I haven't let this thing off all day.
Yeah. So obviously the author of that book is Erik Prince. Mm-hmm. And some other guy. Clearly Erik Prince outlined it and some other dude filled out the writing. You know?
Right, whoever the ghostwriter is.
But he's credited as the author. It's exactly the kind of self-serving autobiography you would expect from a billionaire whose companies have been tied to more war crimes than several SS battalions. Mm-hmm. So let's just dive into the introduction.
Okay.
This gives Erik a chance to lay out his beliefs on the war on terror in brief. So, yeah. Western governments continue to struggle to find real solutions to these crises. They have spent trillions of dollars during that Cold War preparing the mightiest of hammers, but when you have a magnificent hammer, everything looks like a nail. So this is the problem.
Wow.
He's accurately identified the problem the U.S. military has with counterinsurgency.
Right.
Because we do have a really great hammer, and we're not dealing with nail problems.
Yeah.
That's
like,
fair.
Yeah, you get a penis implant, and you're like, how do I not fuck with this thing, dude? You know?
Yeah, but then you wind up in the Hall of Penises?
Yeah.
And so your penis is just useless.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yes, that's
Gotta
the
dust it
situation. That's a fine analogy to
Yeah.
the current
We'll
U.S.
rock with
military strategy.
I mean,
Anyway,
everything is a phallic metaphor.
Yeah. It's funny to me that he's diagnosing the shortcoming and attributing it to the U.S. military, that their problem is that they have a great hammer and so everything looks like a nail, because all Erik has ever done in his entire life is build hammers. But he seems to think that what his people do is different and more suited to the war on terror than what the U.S. military does.
Right,
Quote,
because they don't have rules.
Yeah, well, the hammer of traditional forces lacks the nimbleness and fiscal efficiency of either small active duty units or contracted special forces. Even more troubling, traditional forces can inflame a situation instead of pacifying it.
Right, instead of pacifying it. What colorful language. I love that.
Yeah, and I love it because if there's one thing Blackwater absolutely has done everywhere it's operated, it's inflamed the situation.
Oh, no, we pacified it.
Well,
that's what they'll say, right?
I mean, I would say Army Colonel Peter Mansour said this about Blackwater. If they push traffic off the roads or if they shoot up a car that looks suspicious, they may be operating within their contract, but it is to the detriment of the mission, which is to bring people over to our side. There's also another quote I found in a textbook called U.S. Domestic and International Regimes of Security by Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, who said, "Armed contractors do harm counterinsurgency efforts. Just ask the troops in Iraq." Oof. So there's a lot of military people who have served alongside Blackwater who are like, these guys don't help the effort in any way.
It's just that nepotism, where suddenly your boss's nephew shows up to work and he's fucking useless, but it's like the boss had extra money, so it's like, yeah, just give it to this guy, fuck it.
Well, it's a mix of the boss had extra money, but also ooh, boy, we only have half as many troops as we need to do the job, and these guys don't count as humans legally.
Right.
We don't have to report that they exist or died.
Right.
It's a whole mess. So Erik has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder about the fact that, he had to sell his company Blackwater and it had to be renamed. And, there were all those murders, massacres. Right. And here's how he sums that all up. After failing in their multi-year effort to win hearts and minds in Iraq, the bureaucrats decided a company that had repeatedly answered this government's pleas for help was suddenly more valuable as a scapegoat. I was strung up so the politicians could feign indignation and pretend my men hadn't done exactly what they paid us handsomely to do.
Oh, wow. What a worldview.
I love it because, the major incident that led to him losing Blackwater was a bunch of his guys firing into a crowd.
Right. And it was a protest, right?
No, it was just a traffic circle. One of them panicked and they just fired into a crowd.
Right, and there was, no explanation.
There was no explanation.
And there weren't really any weapons present anywhere.
No incoming fire whatsoever. No, they just massacred 14 people, and he's like, it's the politicians trying to make me look bad. Maybe if your people hadn't shot for. And then there was that guy who drunkenly shot the vice president of Iraq's security guard in the green zone. There was a lot of stuff. Those guys who crashed an armored vehicle because they were hammered.
Because they were drunk. Right. It's just the party crew.
Blackwater. Those do sound like some fun parties.
I mean, in the scariest way, where you're like, these guys know what they're doing with their guns, but I feel like it's going to get weird suddenly. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't sound fun to drink with. Getting drunk and having an armored vehicle to tool around with.
Yeah,
sounds like
great.
a shitload
but
of
not
fun.
in like an environment where there's the possibility that they would have to be like have some kind of like situational
Need your
awareness
wits around you. Yeah. Anyway, if you're a company that makes armored vehicles, we're open for sponsorships.
I would love to crash one drunkenly.
Yeah, and just get drunk in your Bearcat and ride it right into a fucking wall.
Right, and show how strong it is.
How sturdy that armor is.
Right.
Yeah. So Prince's book is surprisingly anti-military. He's very careful about it because obviously he's a conservative dude and you can't say the military is not heroic, but he's picked specific officers who have said bad things about his soldiers and tries to discredit them. And he regularly talks about how often the U.S. military screws up in jobs that Blackwater is also present at, and usually will like point out how much better the Blackwater contractors performed.
Right.
Like there's a picture in his book of, like, I guess at some point John Kerry and some other congressmen were visiting Afghanistan, and their helicopter was like grounded on like a fucking mountain peak or some shit. The picture looks like they're on a mountain peak, and they had to get rescued, and the team that came in and got them was Blackwater stuff. And Erik Prince was like, but he thanked U.S. soldiers and not Blackwater contractors. It's like, well, he was probably thanking the U.S. soldiers who guarded him up on the top of that mountain for hours.
Yeah, right. Not the tow truck guys.
Not the tow truck guys. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, Prince's book is surprisingly anti-military. He also cites the failure in rebuilding Afghanistan and sort of ignores the fact that effort to rebuild Afghanistan was mainly carried out by private companies.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Well, again.
Yes. So here's a quote from his book on Afghanistan that I think is relevant considering some of his more recent plans for Afghanistan. Witness the totally failed economic development of the Afghan economy after nearly 13 years of U.S. Special Forces on the ground. The aid community spent billions in dead-end boondoggles while ignoring the mineral and energy sectors that could make Afghanistan an independent nation instead of a welfare case.
Oh, wow.
Well, what do you think about that?
I mean, sounds like there was some stuff to pillage.
Whoa! You are right on the money
that's
today.
what that sounded like. He's like, guys, there's just fucking money in the ground.
There's a lot of money in the ground in Afghanistan. It would be really great if there was like some sort of outside document that we could look at that would give us a better idea of what Erik really meant when he started bringing up Afghanistan's mineral and energy wealth. Oh, hey! It turns out he's been shopping his plan to privatize the war in Afghanistan around D.C., and BuzzFeed actually got a copy of the PowerPoint presentation that Erik's using to try and sell his privatize the war in Afghanistan plan.
Which is doing quite well, isn't it?
Probably. Probably going to happen.
From what I hear in the news constantly, it's like that's always on the horizon and always being, promoted, at least from the Trump administration.
We'll talk about that. His slideshow is titled An Exit Strategy for Afghanistan, a Test Case for the Strategic Economy of Force.
Why don't you just call it an exit plan for Afghanistan? Just give it to me.
Well, there's a reason that he made sure the word economy was in there.
Right.
Yeah, and we're about to get into that. So it turns out there's a whole slide on this slideshow about the rare earth minerals that are present in the Helmand province. And Erik makes a big point of the fact that there's an estimated $1 trillion in rare earth minerals in the ground in just this one province of Afghanistan.
Wasn't there a lot of fighting in the Helmand province?
Oh, you betcha.
I feel like that's the one province was like repeatedly referred to.
I mean, it's possible.
Or at least at one portion of
there's
the
debate
admission.
between like what the U.S. military says is controlled in Afghanistan and what the Taliban controls. There's debate between that, but they probably there's a good chance they control something like 60% of the country right now. So anyway,
yeah, that map looks pretty juicy.
It's interesting that he's really specifying how many rare earth minerals are inside Helmand province in this. I wonder what he intends to do with these minerals. Well, in the slideshow, he states that under his plan, the military effort in Afghanistan will be, quote, strategic mineral resource extraction funded. Prince believes that this will break the, quote, negative security economic cycle of the war in Afghanistan.
Wow. So we'll dig up the rare earth minerals and self-fund while we just destroy the earth there.
Yeah. So Erik Prince essentially wants to take Afghanistan from an expensive peacekeeping operation by the United States to a profitable rare earth mineral selling corporate endeavor. There's no talk or hint about how this might make life better for Afghan people.
He's doing like rich war criminal, poor war criminal, where it's like it's about passive income, guys.
Yeah. A Prince company spokesperson said to BuzzFeed when they asked them about this. Quote, what is laid out in the slides is a model of an affordable way for the U.S. to stabilize a failed state where we are presently wasting American youth and tens of billions of dollars annually. So they're basically glomming onto the fact that pretty much everyone is like, yeah, it's dumb that we're still in Afghanistan. Super, we're not. And he's like, sane people are like, it's dumb that we're in Afghanistan. We should leave. He's saying, it's dumb that we're in Afghanistan. You should give it to me so that I can mine it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's all I'm interested in. Well, because like there is one, I can see like on the face of it, right? Because since the Iraq War and Afghanistan, like that has just been a money pit that has just been led to the accelerated decline of the American empire, right?
Yeah,
like it's sort of these late.
It's what Afghanistan does,
right.
baby.
But it's like, but it follows that trend of like all historical empires. Like
Yeah.
they get into these like glamour wars that end up bankrupting the country or whatever.
And more often than not, the war is in Afghanistan.
Right. Jesus. Yeah. And then so on one part I go, yeah, well, it is kind of a money pit. And that's all money that could have been spent in the U.S. on things like education, healthcare.
We could really use some bridges.
Yeah, right. Oh, but, let him mine it.
Yeah,
Is he
let
in
him
mining?
mine it.
He's in mining?
He can find a guy.
Yeah.
He'll find a guy.
He has a fucking navy,
Yeah.
so he can find.
I'm pretty sure he can handle some mining.
Hit up the homies at Rio Tinto.
If he can make the sea his mistress.
Right.
Interestingly enough, Erik Prince's stated inspiration for his fucking sweet idea seems to be the East India Tea Company.
Wow.
Yeah. The Wall Street Journal let him write an opinion article in May of 2017. The article was titled The MacArthur Model for Afghanistan, but further into the article, he cites our favorite corporation, which, if you haven't listened yet, we did an episode on the East India Company. They conquered India in the 1700s and starved 20 or 30 million people to death through negligence. And they also invaded Afghanistan, which is why they went bankrupt. Interesting stuff. Anyway, here's Erik. An East India Company approach would use cheaper private solutions to fill the gaps that plague the Afghan security forces, including reliable logistics and aviation support. So, bold of Erik Prince to directly cite a company that was destroyed conquering Afghanistan.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it'll be different this time.
Maybe it'll be different this time.
I know that. Okay, wrong example. Like the Soviet.
Is there something about Afghanistan that makes powerful, rich white men with armies stupid?
I don't know.
Is there like a magical effect that it has?
I don't know.
Because it keeps happening.
Did they all know? Did the Soviets know the resources that were there back then?
Yeah, but that's not even why they.
But that wasn't the motivation.
To support a government that was socialist. They lost money there. We lost money there. The British Empire fought 3 or 4 wars there and bled itself dry there. Nobody wins in Afghanistan.
Afghanistan might just be like where God lives. You know what I mean? Where it's like, don't come in here, bro.
No, this is my house.
Yeah, watch this. Yeah. Who's next? I'll take all your money.
Yeah. Anyway, according to The Atlantic, so Erik hasn't been forthcoming on most of the details of his plan, but according to The Atlantic and some other sources, we know that he wants a viceroy to run the whole operation. He compares this person to a bankruptcy trustee who would have full control over hiring and firing U.S. personnel in country. Mentors would be embedded into Afghan units. These would be men from any country, according to Prince, quote, with a good rugby team. So British, Australians...
Any country with a good rugby team would have team captains or whatever.
That's where he'll recruit his mercenaries from.
To mentors.
Yeah.
Wait, why the rugby?
I don't know. That's weird, right?
Yeah, he's like, I love rugby union.
Rugby guys are good at war.
Okay, so New Zealand, South Africa.
Oh, New Zealand's super good at war, famously.
Yeah.
I mean, I think South Africa is probably more.
Yeah, South Africa makes more sense. I feel like
he's going to get a lot of South African guys
some crooks out of there. It's like, but they can also play rugby.
Yeah. Now, interestingly enough, Erik Prince also wants a composite air wing to help the Afghan Air Force. In other words, this viceroy would have his own private air force working alongside the Afghan Air Force.
So with his proposal, if they were to be like, okay, here are the keys, then they would loosen laws to allow this viceroy to then finally have
part of the job. He's got to have an air force.
Right.
Of course.
Got to have air superiority.
And so Erik Prince would mine Afghanistan's minerals and use it to buy himself an air force, which he would then use to bomb the Afghan people.
It's like a literal parasitic relationship.
I'm honestly, he's the most respectable person close in the orbit of the Trump administration right now, because you got to give one thing to Erik Prince. He is persistent.
Right.
Like, he wants an Air Force, and he's really putting in the groundwork to do it.
Yeah. He's just leasing that Navy just to get over the fucking
loss
void
of his Air Force.
It's just even though I have that, it's about the fucking Air Force.
It's about having an Air Force. There's something not respectable, but like...
No, I mean, I guess objective, if you removed all the actual details that made it about war and killing and things like that, and you're just about one person who has a dream and just whatever he has to overcome that, he's going to do.
Yeah, and that's something. That's all I'll say. That is something.
It is something.
That is something at the core of his being.
Yeah.
That makes him at least interesting.
Although you do have a great Erik Prince Is My God t-shirt on right now.
I wear that a lot, actually. Yeah.
I wasn't going to try and read into it too much.
Different Erik Prince.
Yeah, okay, cool.
He's this guy that lives down the street from me, and I'm trying to... Anyway, let's
He's really
break
good
for
at
some
rugby.
ads. Yeah, ads. Yeah.
For period protection you can put on and forget about, nothing beats Knix leak-proof underwear. North America's #1 leak-proof underwear brand. Let's face it, life can be unpredictable, but your leak-proof underwear shouldn't be. That's why millions of people choose Knix. For periods, for light leaks, for everyday freshness. Knix undies are super comfy, super absorbent, and made to handle whatever your day throws at you. Day 2 of your period? Covered. Your daily run? No problem. That big sneeze? You know the one. Yep, we've got you. And with styles like bikinis, boy shorts, thongs, and high-rise, plus sizes from extra small to 4XL, Knix makes it easy to find your perfect fit. Say goodbye to stress and leaks, and say hello to undies that work just as hard as you do, no matter the leak. Find the style and level of protection you want at Knix.com and use code FLOW15 for 15% off. That's KNIX.com, code FLOW15 for 15% off. Knix, for your leaks, for your life.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be with Bethany Frankel. Let me be blunt. Most dog food is junk. It just is. And I'm not feeding junk to Biggie and Smalls. That is why they eat Just Food for Dogs. It's real, 100% human-grade food with ingredients I actually recognize, not mystery pellets pretending to be healthy. And once I switched, the difference was obvious. Better digestion, better skin, more energy, dogs who actually feel good instead of just surviving dinner. Here's the thing. You care about quality. You make an intentional choice to be healthy. So why are you gambling with your dog's health? So let's think about our furry babies. Go to justfoodfordogs.com right now and get 50% off your first box. No code, just try it. Because once you see the difference, you're not going back.
Kids, pets, life, your sofa sees it all. But with a washable sofa, stains don't stand a chance. All of our sofa collections come with fully machine washable covers and cushions, making cleanup effortless. Liquid and stain-resistant fabrics provide extra protection against everyday messes. Plus, with modular designs, you can rearrange your sofa however you like. Perfect for growing families and changing spaces. Starting at just $699, it's time to upgrade to a stress-free, mess-proof sofa. Visit washablesofas.com today and save. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
And we're back. Those were some great ads.
Fantastic.
The quality products, services, also pretty good. Anyway, let's get back to Erik Prince. So yeah, when we last left Erik Prince, he's talking about turning Afghanistan into a rare minerals company that he runs via violence.
Yeah,
against the Afghan people. So that's fun. He's not the only guy in D.C. who's shopping around this idea. Steven Feinberg, who runs Cerberus Capital and also the military contractor DynCorp, has been pushing a similar plan around Washington. Feinberg is a close friend of President Trump. He was almost given a position overseeing an intelligence review this year, but the intel community recoiled because he has no background in intel or the military.
He doesn't
know anything.
Cerberus and fucking, what was the other one? DynCorp.
DynCorp is one of the military contractors that doesn't commit rampant war crimes like Blackwater.
Okay. So
like, I mean, I'm
trying to
sure
have
they've
a
got some blood in
modicum
their
of-
history, but
Yeah.
they're more respectable than Blackwater,
Right.
which is a low bar.
And then Cerberus. I'm like, oh, yeah, that evokes really cool imagery.
Cerberus Capital sounds like you're the good guys.
Yeah, exactly. We're a fucking mythical dog monster.
Yeah. I do want to praise Erik on something real quickly, which is his acumen for this. He's the perfect man to take advantage of this time in Republican politics. And my evidence for that is one of the slides in this docket he put together, which, again, is a slideshow that's made for President Trump. In the slideshow, he bills the privatization of the war in Afghanistan as, quote, the Woolman ice rink moment of the Trump administration. That's the name of one of the slides, the Woolman ice rink moment in the Trump administration. Do you have any idea what that's a reference to?
No, but it's probably something very cool.
I guarantee you this is one of the only things I could reference that President Trump would know about and you would not, and that's because back in like the 1980s, the Woolman ice rink in New York City stopped making ice, or in the 70s, I guess. In 1980, the New York Parks Department started working to change that. They spent like 6 years and $13 million trying to fix this ice rink, and basically had to announce at that point that they were going to have to start all over again. And so it was like this big famous story of government incompetence.
Right,
like,
right.
They spent millions of dollars, they can't get this ice rink going. So Trump starts publicly saying that he can do the job, like under budget and in less time than anybody else, and everybody assumes he's full of shit, but he gets the job, and he actually does it under budget for like $3 million in like a quarter of the time.
It was like the one fucking time he did it, the thing that he said he was
yeah,
going to do?
he did the thing. He got the ice rink working again. It made ice, or he didn't. I mean, he hired the people who did it, but like
when you say made ice, like they just couldn't keep the rink at the temperature to keep.
Yeah,
the ice
I don't know the
well, whatever. But yeah,
this is like one
it just
of the
failed to actually have ice on the rink.
Yeah, which is important for an ice rink.
Yeah, then you have a roller rink.
So he managed the project that got it fixed, and he did it under budget. And anyway, it's a thing Trump talked about often on the campaign trail when he was running for president.
Erik, fucking genius.
He's smart, right? No, he's saying that Afghanistan is like that ice rink back in the 1980s.
The one
the
thing you
government's
did
just not
right,
smart
yeah.
enough to fix it. So he knows how to sell this plan to Donald Trump.
Right.
And I suspect he'll be successful eventually.
I mean, based on everything we read all the time in the news, it just seems like every day or every story that comes out, we inch closer and closer to the privatization of that war.
Yeah, which is not the right plan. Just leave.
Yeah.
Just admit it was a stupid idea.
Right.
Get the fuck out.
Right.
Say you're sorry. Offer the government some aid removing all the bombs we dropped.
Exactly.
Like, just get the fuck out. But I think we're probably going to go with Erik's plan. So, let's get back into the book. This was a long digression because he talked about, I didn't realize that when this book was published back in like 2014, he already had this plan together. So this has clearly been on Erik's mind for a while.
It's like his demo tape that
Yeah.
he goes around to shows with.
Yeah, and he has a real gift for spinning his career running a mercenary empire into personal heroism. In the beginning of his book, he tries to present himself as a lifetime servant of both his country and, of course, of God. He says, since I first enrolled in the Naval Academy after high school, my life's mission has been to serve God, serve my family, and serve the United States with honor and integrity. I did it first as a midshipman, then as a SEAL, then, when personal tragedy called me home from the service, as a contractor, providing solutions for some of the thorniest problems on Earth. The business of war has never been pretty, but I did my job legally, and I did it completely. Too well, perhaps, growing Blackwater until it became something resembling its own branch of the military and other government agencies.
It's like he's winking the whole time. He says it, and I did it legally. Wink.
So we're going to have another digression now because I couldn't let the sentence too well, perhaps.
Yeah, too
go.
well.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So I was worried when I started doing this because I was like, we talked about a lot of Blackwater's horrible negligence and the deaths associated with it last episode. And I was like, am I going to be able to find more examples of that for this episode without repeating myself? Turns out it just took about a second on Google because I just typed in a couple of key phrases and I found a 2005 Washington Post article about a plane crash. A crash of a plane in Afghanistan piloted by a firm that was a part of Blackwater, essentially, one of Erik Prince's aviation firms, killing all 6 on board. So the first Army report, which was released 2 weeks later, said that the plane, which again is essentially a Blackwater plane, was in violation of numerous government regulations and contract requirements. So basically they were breaking a bunch of rules. Now, Presidential Airways, which is the company that Prince owned under one of these big umbrella things, right? He's got all these fucking... But anyway, Presidential Airways was essentially accused of pairing pilots and co-pilots who both didn't have any experience flying in Afghanistan, and then not training them properly for flying in Afghanistan, and then not supplying them with communications equipment that they needed to properly fly in Afghanistan. So 2 of their guys and I think 4 U.S. soldiers got killed in this crash. And so the families sued Erik Prince. And Erik Prince gets sued by families quite a lot.
Yeah. That's my middle name. Erik getting sued by families.
By
Prince.
Families. You're almost always the bad guy if whole families are suing you.
Well, and also when your negligence is that like acutely criminal.
Yeah.
You know?
So an attorney for the families accused them of Presidential Airways of cutting corners. If they're going to outsource to corporations services like flying personnel around Afghanistan, they must do it with corporations that put the safety of our men and women in uniform ahead of corporate profits. Sadly, that wasn't done here. Seems like a reasonable statement. Presidential Airways followed with a common Erik Prince tactic, calling the Army lazy and incompetent. One of Prince's representatives said, in essence, that the Army review that made them look at fault had been slapdash and was filled with errors. Everyone would need to wait until the National Safety Board report came out to really know what had gone wrong and if Presidential Airways had done anything wrong. So now I'm going to read a fun-related excerpt from Jeremy Scahill's book, Blackwater. In 2006, nearly 2 years after the Army investigators concluded their report, the National Transportation Safety Board issued a report of its own. The NTSB concluded that Blackwater's pilots were, quote, behaving unprofessionally and were deliberately flying the non-standard route low through the valley for fun.
Oh, yo, the fucking party gang comes back.
Yeah, it's the same thing. They're just dumb fucking party boys getting people killed.
Fuck. Mm-hmm. I guess that is the one consistent, like, with the culture of that company. It's just sort of like, yeah, and also just fuck around with whatever you want. Doesn't matter.
It's guys who got frustrated at all the rules the Army has, some of which are dumb. You talk to anyone who served in the Army, and they'll be able to point out dumb things the Army makes you do.
Right.
But also, part of the reason the Army has so many dumb rules is so that people don't go joyriding planes through valleys and killing 6 people.
Expensive hardware. And what's usually the background of a lot of the guys who end up in Blackwater? Are they retired? Are they discharged? Like how?
They're usually people who got honorably discharged. I mean, it's a lot of people who were in special forces and then were like, I want to get paid. Which
so then they kind of leave.
Yeah. They
like, wait, there's a better check, right? So, but it's usually people who are like seeing the checks that they're cutting over there, and they're
because they'll have a buddy who was in the service and then got out a year or two ago, and then he's like, I made $300,000 in Iraq last year, and we're doing the same shit.
Right. Yeah. And he's like, and we play this game with this fucking plane where
we get drunk on the planes,
puts a bottle on his head, and we try and just knock it off in the valley.
Some guys died last week, but it's still fun.
Whatever, dude. They didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah. As you might have noticed from earlier on, Prince has a real bug up his ass about Blackwater not getting what he sees as the proper recognition that it's owed. He had a statement in his book that I found kind of funny. Government agencies don't want that spotlight being shown on our work, nor to applaud the greatest advantage Blackwater offered them, increased capability. They only wanted increased deniability, which is funny because that's the only reason why his company couldn't be fired from the war is because they needed deniable assets.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, that Erik Prince doesn't like being a deniable asset and has never not been in the business of providing them.
Right. Jesus. Yeah, that must frustrate him when he wants to be the star and he's like, I'm made to be the scapegoat.
Yeah, man, that's what you're doing. Yeah. That's your job.
Exactly.
Your job is to provide the soldiers that the government doesn't have to report to anyone have died.
And you're wasting life and money at the same time.
Like that's the whole reason you're a billionaire, other than the fact that your dad was.
Right.
Yeah.
Step one to being a billionaire.
Step one to being a billionaire. Rich dad.
Is
almost
your dad
100%
a billionaire?
of the time. Yeah.
No? Mm-hmm. Move on to square Z, where you die poor.
Yeah, where you die poor because you don't have enough. You can't afford insulin.
Yeah, you can't. Right,
the price of insulin.
Oh, it's like Oregon Trail. You broke your leg and you died.
And you died. But Erik Prince gets a Navy.
Right.
Fun world. Fun world. So Prince says in his book, quote, "The true history of Blackwater is exhilarating, rewarding, exasperating, and tragic." Don't disagree with that. It's the story of men taking bullets to protect the men who take all the credit, a tale of patriots whose names became known only when lawyers and politicians needed to blame somebody for something. Which, again, is funny because Erik is the epitome of the guy who takes all of the credit while other people get shot at. He's never taken a bullet in his life. His only job, basically his only job since he was 30, has been having other people fight. For money that he pays them.
Right.
Yeah, like he's always taking the credit.
And I love that, his scorned attitude. Of just sort of, like he sounds like Ed Harris in The Rock, like General Hummel.
Yeah,
He's like, they don't respect us.
You just assume General Hummel saw some shit.
Well, and he did.
Yeah, and he did.
Very least.
What, Bosnia, something like that?
Wherever it was, I forget.
which
All
war.
I can think of his wife's tombstone that literally just said his wife next to it. It's like, wow, way to give her an identity. Barbara!
One of the remarkable things about that to me is it was one of those few movies made in that era where if you needed to have a military character who'd seen some combat, you had to really stretch to figure out where they could have been.
Right, it's like Grenada?
Grenada
Right.
or Bosnia, like those two or three.
Right.
Now it's like,
Take your fucking pick.
we're at war in like 30 countries.
Well, at least the ones we acknowledge, you know what I mean? No one's going to be there and be like, oh, Niger. It's like, ooh, that's a movie 10 years from now.
Ixnay
We'll
on the
say that.
Idrine.
Yeah.
So, at this point in Erik Prince's book, we're just now through the introduction. So, chapter 1 opens with Erik claiming to have saved several women from a boat explosion when he was 13.
Wait, what the fuck? I love how, like, the intro's just like, man, we were spit on, disrespected. We were the ones we're the real patriots. Chapter 1, I'm fucking call out.
I saved some ladies when a boat blew up. Yeah,
Wow.
And he specifically notes at the end of this anecdote, I never did learn their names or what became of them. It's a shame.
Oh, because you're like fucking Spider-Man? You just fucking come through, you save people, like, sorry, I got to keep this moving.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
It's a lie.
Is there detail of what exactly happened?
Yeah. He taught, like, these ladies, they did something bad to their boat, and its engine exploded, and they, like, jumped in the water, and he and his friend fished them out of the water and drove them to shore, and then there was an ambulance waiting to take them away or something. Which maybe a boat explode. I feel like at least a big part of that story is bullshit.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
I can see that there were probably people who, I think a better version is maybe some women who were stranded. Maybe their boat ran out of gas or something. They
like
needed
that.
a ride to shore. Mm-hmm. He provided it.
If you were in a boat explosion in somewhere time in the 80s and Erik Prince rescued you and you're now a listener of this podcast, drop us a line on Twitter at @bastardspod.
Let us know what really happened.
Let us know what really happened that day.
It turns out it was his boat that exploded and the women saved him. It's like, oh, that story's completely reversed.
Yeah. Man, whatever. If he saved some ladies on a boat and they reach out, I'll make a whole apology track for Erik Prince and the ladies he saved from an exploding boat. Anyway, Prince moves on to talk a little bit about his family history. He uses the story of his grandfather's untimely death as a justification for why welfare is bad. Quote, when Peter died suddenly of a heart attack in 1943, my grandmother sought no government handouts, no charity from the church, not even money from family. Edgar, who had 2 sisters, his dad, was the man of the house now. He would provide for them. He was 12.
Wait. Wait. I'm failing to... What is he trying to say? How is he trying to connect welfare to...
He's trying to talk about how awesome his family is by pointing out that...
He's like,
his grandma
we didn't take a fucking penny.
My grandma wouldn't take any money. She just made my 12-year-old dad work.
Yeah. Now he's the
man.
How
cool is my family?
Well, you're the man now, dog.
Sounds like your family's kind of abusive, Erik.
Yeah, or...
Sounds like she should have sought for some welfare so her 12-year-old could finish grade school.
I mean, unless that's a lie, too.
Yeah, unless that's a lie, too. Who knows?
Could you imagine, like, her grandma was like the OG welfare queen? The mythical welfare queen?
She's just rolling around in a Bentley. Yeah.
And that's how my dad became a billionaire.
Yeah. So anyway, Erik portrays that as awesome. It's worth noting that his dad didn't seem to view this as a good thing because he notes later in the book, quote, Dad didn't let me hold a job during high school. Unlike his hardscrabble youth, he wanted me to enjoy those years. So ups to Erik Prince's dad. He broke a cycle.
Exactly, right.
I mean... didn't turn out with a great kid, but...
No.
Yeah.
They're achieving.
I do feel like Erik missed maybe that lesson.
Oh,
which
absolutely.
was children ought not to work.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe that wasn't his dad's lesson. I don't know the guy. I bet you're wondering about Betsy DeVos, Erik Prince's sister. He only mentions his sister by name once in his entire autobiography.
I was hoping you're going to be like, not one mention at all. He goes, and I have a sister.
He mentions her once to talk about the guy she married.
Wow. So she only comes up in the context of her husband?
Yeah.
Of course. Typical.
I think my sister is referenced a couple of times, but Betsy DeVos is only named once as he's introducing her husband.
Is she his only sister?
I think so.
Okay. That's
maybe not. I'm not going to look it
so
up.
why is he creaming his jeans for Mr. DeVos?
Oh, just because he's a super rich guy.
Right.
I don't remember the exact context of it.
The dad of the family died recently.
Yeah. They only... Oh, yeah. Good. Because he's the founder of Amway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to own the Orlando Magic.
He has 3 sisters. So the other times when he's referring to a sister, who knows?
Who knows? Doesn't matter. There's Betsy and then the fucking other ones.
Fucking other ones. I didn't even check on the others, but he mentions Betsy DeVos once.
Right. He's like, but hey, Betsy, the best one because she
married
a
rich
marry.
Guy.
Right.
She married for fucking. I mean, they were already rich. He doesn't give us much detail at all about his childhood, but if you're game, I did find one anecdote that I want to kind of go down a conspiracy rabbit hole about. Okay. It's Erik's description of his favorite childhood hobby. Quote, "The first group of soldiers I ever assembled was made of solid lead, 2 inches high, standing in neat rows on my bedroom windowsill. There were hundreds of them, painted to match their real-life British, French, and Continental Army counterparts. I created them from molds I got on trips abroad, and 40 pounds of lead Dad and I melted down in a cast-iron plumber's pot."
Wow. He's a little, like, war miniatures.
In fairness,
hobby,
Erik,
dude?
That's exactly what I did when I was a kid. I played fucking like Warhammer and others. I spent my whole childhood building, but specifically building models. That was my whole childhood.
I had a set of like Civil War dudes, and I remember I went as far as buying like the fake grass to put to create like a battlefield scene and like fake trees. And when I realized because I remember as a kid, like regular toys weren't quite scratching that itch of like what the like military shit looked like. So I was like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna do this. It was too much work though. So I commend you for even being a hobby toy man.
That's what I did as a child, and I remember it's like the most poison you can expose your health to as a little kid because your hands are always covered in paints and God knows what's in them and like this fucking cyanoacrylic glue. I was always pulling it off of my fingers and stuff. But in Erik's case, he was melting lead.
Right.
And I don't know how much lead exposure you get doing that thing, but we do have a lot of documentation on why lead exposure is really bad for children. I'm going to cite from a study made by the College of Family Physicians in Canada. Lead is a developmental neurotoxin. Children are most commonly exposed and they are most vulnerable. Lead exposure has been associated with many cognitive and motor deficits, as well as distractibility and other characteristics of attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Although children's blood lead levels have declined considerably over the past 3 decades with removal of lead from gasoline and paint, children can still be exposed to lead from lead paint in older homes, toys, and other sources. Because post-exposure treatment cannot reverse the cognitive effects of lead exposure, preventing lead exposure is essential. One of the things lead exposure is most tied to is violence. Violent crime. Lead exposure. We've seen crime drop for most of the last 30 years, and one of the major theories behind it is that we got lead out of everything. And so people aren't being born exposed to lead because we know that it's one of the biggest correlators with violent crime.
Does that align with like women's ability to have an abortion too? Because I know that's another one like people would like to throw around as if that was another factor too that people have control over that.
Yeah, it's certainly a mix of things, but it's very credible that.
Wait, but how do you fucking make your own lead? It's like a smelting.
They just bought a shitload of lead and melted it in a pot.
How do you wait? So I've never had the privilege to melt my own lead down, but what do? You just put a fucking
I don't know. I never did that either because by the time I was collecting model soldiers, they were made out of plastic because they realized you shouldn't expose children to
like
lead.
Cast iron. Like,
but it sounds like he was getting blocks of lead and melting it and pouring it
into his own molds.
Yeah, so he was
without any probably respiratory equipment,
and exposing himself to lead fumes and everything. And I found a study in South Africa that correlates lead exposure to interest in firearms because they found that competitive shooters had higher aggression and much higher blood lead levels than competitive archers, which is an interesting group to compare it to.
Right.
Yeah. So. This is just a theory.
But that's amazing, too, because, like lead bullets, too?
Yeah.
Like the bullet in lead. It's like a feedback loop? Or
you're not
how
going
often can you get lead bullets?
I've been a shooter most of my life, too. And, number one, most of the bullets you're going to buy don't have exposed lead on them. Some of them do, but it's usually jacketed in something. And number two, you're not getting a lot of lead exposure shooting because you're firing.
But I imagine, how often has the actual rounds themselves been protected for people from the lead itself?
Oh, not very long. In fact, if you're looking at the Continental times, the 1800s or whatnot, people are probably melting a lot of their own balls. Right. So yeah,
or making with pewter. Or whatever.
Obvious, it's definitely fed into violence throughout centuries because we've been putting a lot of lead everywhere. I just think it's interesting that Erik Prince, we see in his childhood both this joy of making soldiers and also maybe the lead exposure that's led him to be such a fucking violent creep.
Literally making soldiers out of the thing that leads to additional violent tendencies.
It's almost poetic.
Yeah.
Speaking of poetic, these ads are poems for your wallet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Go on.
Here we go.
For period protection you can put on and forget about, nothing beats Knix leak-proof underwear. North America's #1 leak-proof underwear brand. Let's face it, life can be unpredictable, but your leak-proof underwear shouldn't be. That's why millions of people choose Knix. For periods, for light leaks, for everyday freshness. Knix undies are super comfy, super absorbent, and made to handle whatever your day throws at you. Day 2 of your period? Covered. Your daily run? No problem. That big sneeze? You know the one. Yep, we've got you. And with styles like bikinis, boy shorts, thongs, and high-rise, plus sizes from extra small to 4XL, Knix makes it easy to find your perfect fit. Say goodbye to stress and leaks and say hello to undies that work just as hard as you do, no matter the leak. Find the style and level of protection you want at Knix.com and use code FLOW15 for 15% off. That's KNIX.com, code FLOW15 for 15% off. Knix, for your leaks, for your life.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be with Bethany Frankel. Most dog food is marketing, not nutrition. That is why Biggie and Smalls eat just food for dogs, real 100% human-grade food with ingredients I actually recognize. And yes, I do see the difference. Better digestion, healthier skin, more energy, dogs that feel better, my babies. If you've been on the fence about switching, stop overthinking it. What's more important than your furry babies and their health? Go to justfoodfordogs.com right now and get 50% off your first box. No code needed. Just try it.
Tired of spills and stains on your sofa? Wash away your worries with Anabay. Anabay is the only machine washable sofa inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly prices. That's right, sofas start at just $699. Enjoy a no-risk experience with pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and changeable slip covers made with performance fabric. Experience cloud-like comfort with high-resilience foam that's hypoallergenic and never needs fluffing. The sturdy steel frame ensures longevity, and the modular pieces can be rearranged anytime. Shop WashableSofas.com for up to 60% off site-wide, backed by a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. If you're not absolutely in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping or restocking fees. Every penny back. Upgrade now at WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
And we're back. And I'm going to do a free ad right now. One of these great unpaid ads, which are such a smart thing to do. I'm eating some Tapatio Doritos. And folks...
Oh, they've appeared.
Oh, they're so good. I don't like...
I'm going to try one.
I can't stand Flaming Hot Cheetos. I like spicy stuff in general, but not spicy chips. I hate spicy chips as a general rule. Tapatio Doritos are fucking phenomenal. These are just delightful.
Little ASMR for you folks at home.
Oh, my God.
Have you seen the video of the girl who takes a bite of the chip and her eyes roll back in her head? There was like an old Vine, and she's like, it's amazing. That's how, imagine this when you hear this, folks.
His eyes are rolling back into his head. We just saw Miles's D face.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's actually, my Dorito face.
Yeah, exactly. Dorito face.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
See, now you gave a free ad campaign.
Yeah. Come on, Doritos.
Doritos, y'all are, I'm not even going to use profanity. You guys are you're messing up And you're missing a massive opportunity.
Let's be more productive. If everybody could get on the same hashtag and in the same tweet send out Doritos not dictators and hashtag Doritos, because you've got to tag, or at Doritos, you got to tag Doritos in it. And you got to do hashtag Doritos not dictators. If everybody does that when this episode drops, maybe we'll get a sponsorship and I'll get paid.
No, you know what you do? Everybody takes a photo with Doritos and use those hashtags, and you do hashtag why I eat Doritos.
Oh.
So they see that and they're like, well, I mean, for somehow this guy has mobilized an army of Doritos eaters. You're like the Erik Prince of Doritos consumers.
That has always been my dream.
Right. I was going to say
the Erik Prince of Doritos.
And you getting a Doritos sponsorship is your Air Force.
Because I want Doritos to pay me to mine Doritos for more comedy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a beautiful...
Well, now I'm seeing a conspiracy here. Mm-hmm. You heard it here first.
This conspiracy has been going on since the show began.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been consistent.
I mean, it is a sincere brand loyalty. So
it is a sincere, because I love me some Doritos.
Yeah.
Oh, they're good. I'm going to try these Tapatito Doritos and cook in some migas and see how that shit works out. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm excited
almost
for
seems
that.
sacrilegious, but a little
It is sacrilegious. Yeah. They're bullshit migas, but they're delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
For the gabachos out there, yeah.
Yeah. I'm the gabachist. Oh, that actually does make me want gazpacho, though. Just because the names are kind of, I could go for some of that. Fucking
you make a good gazpacho?
No, but I have a friend who makes a really good gazpacho. I go camping with her every now and then, and it's the fucking best thing.
And I only do it for the gazpacho.
Yeah.
Fuck You're like, hey, you bringing the gazpacho?
Anyway, back to Erik Prince. So Erik portrays himself in his childhood as a quiet, boring kid. I didn't smoke, I didn't drink. Being an athlete gave me a social network, yet I didn't have many close friends growing up. Maybe it's because you're a sociopath. I don't know.
Yeah.
From the little information we have about his school years, he sounds absolutely insufferable. He portrays himself as the living embodiment of one of those Marine with an atheist professor in a college class memes that circulates around the internet. You know the kind?
Wait, what?
Have you run into one of those, like, now it's gone around where most of the memes are mocking the original, but there would be like this email forward or whatever kind of story that your conservative relatives would send you, and it's about like a college professor talks about how there is no God, and a Marine stands up and gives a speech about how he saw God on the battlefield.
Okay.
Yada, yada. One of those kind of stories.
Right.
Erik tells his version of that in this autobiography.
Oh, okay.
This is while he's in high school. Once in class, I challenged a teacher who called then-President Ronald Reagan's Cold War military buildup a waste of taxpayer dollars. I countered by rattling off every strategic defense initiative weapon system we needed to counter various Soviet threats. I'd analyzed Reagan's Star Wars the way my classmates picked apart the University of Michigan's football roster.
Okay.
Now, what's really fun about this to me is that it illustrates how bad Erik Prince is at admitting when he's wrong, because by the time Erik was 18, we knew that almost none of the weapons systems that had been talked about for the Strategic Defense Initiative were ever going to work.
Right.
And the few that would, the directed energy weapons that actually did have some potential, in 1987, when Erik was 18, a government report was released saying that essentially these weapons would need to become between 100 and 1 million times more powerful and more energy efficient in order to have a chance at working.
Wow.
So
does the railgun count as one of those things?
I don't think that started out as SDI.
Okay.
I don't. It
those
didn't work.
Like, that's a futuristic weapon that I've always been obsessed with, and now I've seen that the Chinese have been able to
those
miniaturize
totally
it.
Work. Like, we've got those too. Like,
right,
those are cool.
But I
as
feel
hell.
like, do you see the thing with the Chinese Navy? Like, they've really figured out the railgun though, and like they're
it looks
loading
scary.
them up.
Yeah, it looks scary. I want one.
Oh yeah, ever since
sure.
Eraser.
Well, and I feel like the only thing that stops a bad guy with a railgun is a good guy. And
that's
that's really the message of Eraser.
It is, right.
Yeah, which is a
good
great
ad
film.
for railguns.
Yeah.
But will they ever be that small?
If Big Railgun wants to get in on a sponsorship deal, I'll talk railguns all day.
That's what the R in the NRA is going to be changed to.
The Railgun Association. Yeah. Okay. So, like nearly all people born into incredible wealth, Erik has managed to convince himself that he never got any handouts. Quote, after the heart attack, his dad had a heart attack, but he survived the first one. My father was generous with his time, but never with handouts. He didn't want me relying on the family business. He made it clear that I'd been given every advantage in life and that I had no excuse for not making something of myself. Independently, I would not be working for Prince Corporation after college. He said, I would receive no trust fund. I had to make it on my own. So.
Now, do we know how true that is?
Well, he didn't go straight to work for Prince Corporation.
Right that
after,
part.
Right
was there no
after
trust
school.
fund? Was there no inherited wealth?
Oh, yeah, there was. Because after his dad dies a few pages later in the book, Erik writes this: just over a year after my father's death, my mother, sisters, and I sold the Prince Automotive unit to Milwaukee-based Johnson Controls Inc. for $1.35 billion, which was split between a number of Dad's business partners, employee stockholders, and my mother's sisters and me. Now, he puts himself last in both of those lists very deliberately. I'm going to guess he might have gotten more money than his dad's employees, stockholders, probably. Yeah.
Well, I like also the idea that his sister's got a bigger cut, and that's like dope. Like that's his pain. Like with Betsy, he's like, "Fuck, she got a bigger
I hope
piece
so.
than me."
I hope his dad hated him and cut him out of. But clearly not enough.
It depends on
He's still
we don't
got
know how
hundreds of
true it is, right? Because if his dad was that much of a hard ass, he's like, dude, don't expect to fucking work here. You've been given everything.
Yeah,
there is a version where you see that. I doubt that though.
Yeah, we know he got conservatively a few $100 million.
Right, and also people who have grown up with privilege. I mean, if you want to live in denial about that, that is usually the first thing you say is like, dude, okay, I know I may come from this family. I didn't get a fucking thing though.
Yeah, but we also know that like when he became a Navy SEAL, like when he was going for like the OCS class that like he had to, or one of the classes he had, one of the things he had to do before he became a Navy SEAL, the class was full, and his dad pulled some strings to get him in at the last moment. So like that, I'm gonna bet that happened to help get him into the Air Force Academy too. Sure. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, you'll remember Erik went to the academy for a hot minute. At least one instructor thinks he left because it wasn't conservative enough, but in Erik's book, he blames something else: the movie Top Gun. It wasn't long before I realized the academy wasn't the right fit. It was just after Top Gun had come out, and the environment was an uncomfortable mix of tailhook-era frat boys on one hand and a nonsensical policing of political correctness on the other. I felt as if I was expected to learn from graduate student instructors who knew little more than the fact that they'd been there longer than I had. I quickly began to wonder whether the academy created great leaders, or if great leaders just enrolled there, endured it, and made it out on the other side. Erik did not endure it. He quit after, like a year, I guess.
That sounds like some real college dropout shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He opted instead for Hillsdale. He remembers liking it because everyone there was the same kind of libertarian he was, and because they were all rich kids too.
Right.
He does
probably
note,
less diverse than the Air Force.
He does note proudly that the college offered him a full scholarship. I'm going to guess because his dad had been giving them some money, but that we turned it down, and his dad said, "Leave it for someone who needs the money." And he portrays this as like a good thing that he did rather than like, no, of course, if your dad is a billionaire, you don't take a free ride to college.
Yeah, you fucking
That's
idiot.
the human thing to do.
Right.
Like,
way to pat yourself on the back for the bare minimum.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could have bought the school, but I didn't
could
take
almost
their
be
scholarship.
the title for this autobiography. Like, I think the working title for the episode is Erik Prince accidentally wrote a book about why he sucks.
Right.
But the title for this book might as well be Erik Prince does the minimum and pretends that he's a hero.
Congratulates himself.
It's spectacular. So, yeah, he tells stories like how when he was working as a volunteer firefighter, they thought he was just some rich kid at first, but then he kept showing up early and doing a real good job of cleaning, and he earned their respect.
It's like he's rewriting the script of his life.
Again, if you worked in that firehouse and have anything to say about Erik Prince, positive or negative, drop us a line. I'd love to hear from you.
Wait, I'm sorry. His bit
I
of
can read you the quote.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, most Hillsdale students came from money. The butchers, painters,
What do you mean? He says it as if he's about to say he didn't come from. Now, most of them came from money.
Yeah.
Not me.
The butchers, painters, and slaughterhouse workers who volunteered or worked at the firehouse initially figured me for a snot-nosed college kid. But I showed up at the firehouse early to change the blades on the K-12 rescue saws, and I stayed late to clean the pumps. I handled the heavy canvas hoses and carried the ladders. After a call, when the other volunteers sat back and cracked open a drink, I rolled the hoses. Gradually, I earned their respect.
It also sound like the equipment manager on a basketball team who sucks, and the guys who are doing the real work are like, yeah, why don't you just fucking do that?
And that is my suspicion, is that maybe he didn't actually, when there was a call, he was never called out, because they're like, no, that's that kid. You don't want that kid in a dangerous situation at your back. And there's hints of that in his Navy SEALs experience, too. So we'll get to that. Whenever Erik is involved in anything sort of cool, personally, he writes about it at length. Like, he repeatedly mentions when Blackwater first showed up in Afghanistan, he was there, and he actually did guard duty some times, because they were so he did guard duty in Afghanistan. Nothing ever happened, but he did
in
it.
The green zone.
He talks about it repeatedly, that like, and I was there in Afghanistan doing guard duty. Like, so when anything is that close to being cool, he talks about it at length. I'm going to guess he didn't do anything cool as a firefighter. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being an asshole here.
He's like, I was the first one to discover the backdraft phenomenon.
It was around this time that Erik made the first political donation of his life, which we talked about in the first episode, the $15,000 he gave to the Republican Party. Now, in that episode, we speculated that this may have been an attempt by his parents to max out their political donations using their kids as funnels. According to Erik, that's not true. So he says that the money was his own, and it came from, quote, investment income from stocks my parents had long ago bought for me.
Okay,
so he didn't take any handouts,
Yeah.
but his parents gave him enough stocks that he was able to donate $$15,000 to the
Disposable
Republican
income.
Party at
Yeah.
age 19.
I doubt that. No, 19. Just be real. That's how these wealthy, and I'm pretty sure we talked about that. That's like the standard tactic for wealthy people of just giving as much money. It's like, well, let me max out, make my dog a max out donor.
It's like if you're born rich and you're listening to the show, I'm sure someone is. Like, fine. Just own it. Just be like, yeah, I'm a millionaire because my parents are rich. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Just don't lie about it. Don't be like President Trump and be like, we got a small loan from my dad that was millions of dollars. And
Right.
Like, yeah, you guys, you had it easier because you were rich.
Yeah.
Accept
That's
it.
fine. There's
Like-
that's the way. You didn't ask to be born rich.
No.
You just were. So
No,
just
it's like
be
I can be like, yeah,
be grateful and honest.
I have it a lot easier because I've never had to deal with like a major chronic illness.
Right,
That
exactly.
makes my life easier
We
than
all
someone
have
who has.
privilege in
We all
some
have
way.
privilege. Just own it. Don't be a dick about
Yeah.
it. Erik Prince. Okay, so you'll remember that after college, Erik wound up briefly interning for the George H.W. Bush White House. You'll recall that he wasn't happy there. He admits in his book that he didn't like the fact that President Bush was bargaining with people who wanted to weaken the sanctity of marriage, raise taxes, and push environmental policies. So, yeah.
Environmental policy.
Yeah. He admits that he got chewed out by the Deputy Chief of Staff, Andrew Card, because he wouldn't shut up about his thoughts on how the president ought to do things while he was an intern in the White House, which sounds like what would happen if you're being an insufferable dick. After 5 months, his internship was not renewed.
Of course.
Of course not.
And that brings you back to even the firehouse thing. It was like, actually, you guys should probably be cleaning it like this. Like, shut the fuck up, Erik.
Yeah,
and he's
you
like,
wanna tell
fine,
us how
I'll
to
do it.
Clean boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I'll
do it, Erik.
Fine.
Let's all have beers since we just pulled people out of a fire.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, I'm going to switch the K-12 blades off the saws, whatever.
Nobody else is cool enough to do
Right,
this.
and
We haven't used that saw in 4 years,
Yeah.
Erik. Probably the blade's fine. I don't know. Saw blades. I'm sorry,
whatever.
firefighters.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you probably remember also that Erik Prince became a Navy SEAL next, using a family connection to get into the school. But Prince did pass Hell Week on his own merits, and that's impressive. And when he got back from becoming a Navy SEAL, this happened. My parents sent me an extraordinary gift, a bronze statue of a cowboy. The artist had inscribed, in the unwritten laws of the range, the work ethic still exists. When you sign for an outfit, you ride for their brand. True commitment takes no easy way out. Now, I think Erik mentioned this because he likes to see himself as a cowboy and like he and his contractors as cowboys. I can't imagine a quote that does a worse job of describing Erik Prince's work ethic than that. Because every time he makes a commitment, he weasels out of it. Every single time. That's the one thing that is 100% true with Erik Prince.
And I think that's the case with most people who are very insecure with their identity, right? Like they try and project something that is the complete opposite of their truth as a person.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're a cowardly, sniveling little brat, you're going to act like the upstanding guy who hey, first guy into work, last one to leave.
For a brand, you ride for that brand.
That's right.
Unless it gets hard, then you leave because you had a disagreement.
Unless it gets hard, in which case that brand was cheating and there was no point in committing to that brand to begin with.
Oh, Erik. Yeah. So Erik was a Navy SEAL for about 2 years. Now, it costs, it's hard to say, probably somewhere around $300,000 to $500,000 just to train a Navy SEAL, and as much as $1 million a year to keep that SEAL, active and trained up in the field while they're an active duty Navy SEAL. I'm going to guess that the government did not get its money's use out of Erik's brief stint in the Navy SEALs. You're supposed to do that job more than 2 years if you commit to it. He says remarkably little about his time doing one of the coolest jobs in existence. I'm going to guess that's because he didn't do very much. There is one telling paragraph where Erik writes about his experience during the Yugoslavian Civil War. In it, he cleverly obscures the fact that he didn't experience any actual combat or real danger during his time there. I'm going to read you this quote.
I was just about to ask. I'm like, What kind of action did he?
I think you'll pick up on it.
Right.
Then, in late 1995, as Yugoslavia broke apart in the warring states, SEAL Team 8 deployed to Bosnia-Herzegovina. The shattered buildings and war-torn streets were a far cry from the peaceful communities I'd once seen there with my wife. We SEALs were performing combat search and rescue for downed pilots or taking direct action against radar sites. Not me, Erik Prince.
Yeah.
We SEALs.
We SEAls.
We SEAls.
Yeah. It's odd that he's able to be somewhat truthful in those instances, right? Because it seems like he'll embellish anything.
Because there's guys who served
who
with
can
him
back
that would
that
be
up.
like, Erik Prince lied about his
It's like
service.
the once third rail.
Yeah.
Now, where are those SEAls?
If you were a Navy SEAL in Yugoslavia and you served with Erik Prince and I got it wrong or I got it right,
do we know his BUDS class?
I'm sure we could find that out. Yeah.
Through FOIA.
I don't know if that's
or you can probably just I think you can just inquire,
probably
right?
just public knowledge because they don't keep it secret who a Navy SEAL is.
Right.
Yeah, that's.
Or we should call what's that guy who does the SEAL stolen valor stuff? Don, what's his face? Don Shipley.
Oh yeah,
the guy who's the fucking OG SEAL hunter. Be like, hey, can you find his BUDS class?
I mean, he was definitely a SEAL.
No,
and
of course,
he's not.
But you want to hear.
I do want to hear what his time
those
as a
guys
SEAL
who are
was
probably
like,
dude, I was a SEAL for 15 years. Mm-hmm. This guy quit after 2 years.
I would like to see what his time as a SEAL was like. Because, again, every time he does something, he's directly involved in something cool, he talks about it at length, and he weasels again here.
Well, see, then you kind of see the part where he is intelligent enough to know how far he can stretch the truth, because he's like, well, there are people who are going to be able to corroborate or basically debunk what I say, so let me just say I was in the SEALs during that time, and that's what we SEALs
Well, I
did.
was with the SEALs team, and members of this team
did that
we
stuff.
SEAls did actions
I was on
like
timeout because I stole a helicopter and tried to race it.
Who knows what his situation was. Erik's time as a Navy SEAL was cut short. He says it's because his wife got cancer at age 29, and he needed to take care of her and his children. And if you were a normal dude, of course that would be a good reason to stop being a Navy SEAL.
100%.
Of course. And he says, my being gone was suddenly impossible. I requested my discharge from the Navy. Now, here's the thing.
Oh, no.
Here's the thing.
You dig something up? Do you dig something up there?
Well, it's just that almost as soon as he gets home from being a Navy SEAL, he starts Blackwater, and he's spending weekends and weeks away from his wife and children.
Right.
Hiking in the woods and shooting snakes and getting the land ready for this thing. I don't know exactly how long he waited, but yeah, it's
hard to speculate on that, but it doesn't seem like. And did his wife survive?
No.
Oh no.
So yeah, we're gonna get into how he talks about his wife and some other stuff here. So at one point he mentions that he and his wife gave $500,000 to a clinic in Prague so they could fund experimental treatments to try on his wife. In that passage, he praises his wife's courage and then says, "And through it all, she seemed more concerned about my loss, my impending grief, than her own death. Remember, Erik, you can live without me," she would say, "but you can't live without God." Now, Erik starts Blackwater, as I said, soon after leaving the SEALs and is spending a shitload of time there. And after 2001, his business ramps up. He starts spending less and less time at home, even though that's why he left the Navy. By 2000...
Wait, so he left the SEALs in what, 97,
I think
99?
99.
Okay, and then...
Yeah, 2000, 2001.
At that point, what was his wealth at?
Hundreds of millions.
Already,
he didn't need
because,
the work.
Right, okay.
I mean, I would say conservatively at least like $100 million.
Oh, right, from selling the
because his family and
thing,
everyone,
right.
they split $1.3 billion.
Gotcha, okay.
He did not need to work for money.
Right.
He could have just been a dad and been there with his wife in her last years.
He probably could have paid guys to play war in front of him and actually kill themselves.
Yeah, he could have gone shooting every day if he'd wanted
Right.
to. He could have bought a ranch, whatever. I'm sure there are people listening right now who have lost spouses to diseases and would have loved to have just been able to not work and spend as much time with them as possible. That's not the strategy Erik took. He started a very involved business, and then after 2001, he starts going over and spending time in Afghanistan, and the contracting business.
And she's
ramps
still
up.
battling cancer?
Yeah, off and on, she's battling cancer. He goes in remission for a while, but then it comes back, and in 2003, it's really bad. Quote, and not just that's bad, but the marriage is bad. By early 2003, my wife and I didn't have much time alone together to begin with, and with those stresses, as well as the effects of cancer and surgery and chemotherapy, eliminated most of the romance or intimacy when we did. I felt as if all I could do to keep things from spinning completely out of control. And I found comfort in the arms of a woman named Joanna Hook, who had worked as our nanny in Michigan. In mid-2002, when we all moved back to Virginia, she was hired to perform administrative functions at our Blackwater's Moyock facilities. She became pregnant before Joan died. So, now, relationships are hard. If a friend who had had a spouse die came to me and confessed that they had cheated on their spouse while they was dying as cancer, I would not view that as a good thing. But I wouldn't take it as a condemnation of the person either. It's a nightmare. People have needs. Yeah. We all fall short in difficult times.
No, 100%. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's always hard to just judge someone's character solely based on that. It's
but
an
everything
indication.
Else, yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, based on like his prior history, even leading up to that.
Well, and he portrays himself as a moral paragon on every page of this book. But in my opinion, this cheating is not just a matter of Erik failing in the face of terrible sorrow and stress and grasping for a moment of joy. It's yet another example of his complete inability to delay his own gratification.
Right.
Like, because that's his thing, is he keeps quitting stuff. He keeps leaving. He gets bored. He gets bored.
Right.
He gets bored. Or he doesn't want to be told what to do or whatever.
Does he have any, like, regret or, like, does he talk about that in the book?
Yeah.
In a way that feels believable? Okay.
Well, I'm not going to say in a way that feels believable, but we'll just continue the story. I think that is a big through line, that he cannot stand. Erik left the Air Force Academy because it was hard and he didn't like being exposed to other people's points of view. He liked Hillsdale, his college, because it was full of people he agreed with. He left the SEALs, and I'm going to guess part of that was because he didn't like being told what to do. I didn't go into it here, but he spends pages and pages of his book talking about everything he thought that was dumb about how SEALs had to train and like the way they had to travel, and like he sets it up as like, and this inspired me to create Blackwater, to create a better training environment for SEALs. But I feel like he's just anyway.
Yeah, you had 2 years, and then you're the expert on.
Erik Prince does not have a good record of sticking to things.
Right.
Now, here is the way he concludes his story about his wife's death and his infidelity. In March 2003, on a ski trip in Vail, Colorado, Joan wrote me a long letter. She left it on the dresser in our vacation home there. My wife understood it would likely be her last time visiting a place we both loved, and that I would find the letter when I returned at Christmas time, 9 months later, without her. It was the most caring, most awful thing I've ever read. She knew everything with Joanna. I had devastated her. Yet, in her final months, Joan had found the strength to forgive me. There are no excuses for what happened. There's not a day that goes by that I don't regret the way I hurt her. After years of pain and treatments, on June 14th, 2003, my beautiful wife surrendered her body to her creator and passed from this life. She was 36 years old. I cut out a small lock of her hair to keep, and I asked the doctor for the chemotherapy port that had been implanted in her upper chest. Really, the doctor said? That thing was the bane of her existence. That's the closest thing to her heart, I said. I've got it to this day. So what do you think of that? Sophie looks grossed out.
It's just so dark.
It's dark that it's the thing that she hated. I don't know. I'm not going to criticize the guy.
It's hard. Like, it's like the one part of this whole thing where it's hard for me to fully be like, oh, fuck you, you gross son of a bitch.
I'm sure it was
I don't
awful.
know. Everyone grieves in their own way.
Yeah.
And I don't wish for anyone to live through that kind of experience.
It seems like a nightmare.
It's awful. Like, if you've ever had to, deal with that, it's an awful experience.
It's a soul-destroying thing, and I don't think he had much of a soul to begin with.
Yeah, but part of me just thinks, like, I don't know if he's even really had a real relationship with other human beings.
It's hard to say, because there's some more gross stuff coming up. So Erik married his former nanny and stayed with her for 8 years. They divorced in 2012. In 2009,
for the next nanny.
Well, in 2009, two anonymous individuals who claimed to be ex-Blackwater workers filed sworn statements in federal court. One of these men claimed, quote, Mr. Prince knowingly hired two persons who were previously involved in the Kosovo sex trafficking ring to serve at relatively high levels within his company. Mr. Prince's North Carolina operations had an ongoing wife-swapping and sex ring which was participated in by many of Mr. Prince's top executives. XE, because his company was XE at this time, spokeswoman Stacy DeLuke denied this and called it obvious slander. Also, it seems like Stacy is now Erik Prince's wife. So that seems above board.
Wow.
Erik Prince!
What the fuck? Kosovo sex ring, guys?
I didn't even. There's more to dig into that one. I just didn't have because there's so much else to get into.
How?
There's also one of the other guys talked about how he's been having people assassinated who knew dirt about his company. And was willing to make a claim in federal court about it. I don't know. I have not gotten into all of it. There will be more episodes about Erik Prince in the fucking future.
Yeah, well, never ending.
There's just too much. You can't we've expanded to 2 episodes.
And we're probably only in the second
much.
Act of his life.
We're in the second chapter of his book.
Right. right.
Okay. So the first third of his book is a pretty straightforward autobiography covering, his life and the creation of Blackwater. But then it stops around the time that the Iraq War starts. It stops being a normal autobiography, and every chapter starts being just him defending himself and Blackwater against different allegations of Blackwater's failures, crimes, and massacres and stuff.
Wait, so how far are we in the book until this begins?
We're about where we are, about a third of the way into the book.
So 1/3 of the book functions somewhat like a biography.
And then it's just him defending his company
and him just going,
claims of horrible crimes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the whole book.
Erik Prince, nuh-uh.
Nuh-uh. I didn't.
I'm a hero, nuh-uh.
I'm so good. Okay. So I'm not going to go through all of these chapters because we don't have days for this podcast. I am going to talk about a couple of cases of him defending himself. And if you want to read the book yourselves, the bullshit tactics he uses in these will be evident. But don't actually pay for the book. It's bad enough that I did.
Yeah, please steal a PDF with a torrent or something.
He said that's not Bastards Pod's official
sorry. Yeah, that's no one's take.
It would be if it's possible to steal a copy of Erik Prince's book and a person out there in the world did that, I would not condemn them as a human being for that action, although I would not condone or support their decision.
I will go a step further and say go to www.piratebay.org.
I thought you were going to say LimeWire.
Kazaa. Download Kazaa.
Download the Kazaa app.
You're going to love it.
Oh, boy. We are elderly men. Okay.
So Kazaa, LimeWire.
Let's talk about how Erik Prince justifies. Do you remember that fuck up in Fallujah where 4 of his men got murdered and 2 of them got strung up by a bridge and it sparked the Battle of Fallujah that killed tens of thousands or thousands? A lot of people. I don't know how many. That was in the last episode. Listen to the last episode. It killed a lot of people.
Hold on. Let me listen to the last episode really quick. I'll be right back.
And we're back.
Oh, my God. Okay. Yep.
Fuck this guy, right? Okay. Now, if you'll remember, Erik Prince had taken up a contract to deliver kitchen supplies, or Blackwater had. Prince describes them as literally pots and pans in the book. Here's how he describes the sweet deal he made with the company to deliver their kitchen supplies. We agreed to provide a squad of 34 men to protect ESS's personnel and convoys, the convoys of kitchen supplies. Regency was to pay my company $11 million for a year of work, just shy of $1 million per month, with an option to renew for a second year. Now, Erik describes Blackwater's mindset at the start of the War on Terror as say yes first, iron out the details later. And when he said yes to this job, some of those missing details included the fact that his men didn't have enough armored vehicles, machine guns, or actual contractors to fulfill the mission. Details.
So would you go to like Home Depot and be like, who has military experience?
If you've ever talked to a soldier who served in Iraq in the early 2000s, they'll all agree that armored vehicles are a pretty minor detail when you're driving through the streets of Fallujah. Right. Who needs a little bit of armor? And machine guns?
For what?
Come on. It's kitchen equipment.
It's nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing. Nothing.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah. Erik notes with pride that his company got the cooking equipment contract after another private security firm refused due to the obvious risk of the route. So a responsible company was like, we can't safely do this. I'm sorry. Like you're supposed to do. So Prince picked up the contract. He blames
fake
the fact,
it till you make it.
Yeah, he blames the fact that they had to send in a smaller team than advertised without the proper equipment to the actions of another security company that he says basically forced them to do the mission before they were ready. Because these guys' contract, they ended it sooner than they should have ended it, and so we just didn't have enough time to do it. He also claims that the extra men and armor and weapons wouldn't have made a difference because the ambush was so well set up.
Oh, fuck off.
Nothing could have stopped this from happening. In other words, the fact that Blackwater's men weren't prepared and the escort was sent out unable to meet the company's own standards was not Erik's fault. There was no other way things could have gone. And obviously they couldn't have canceled the mission because that would have been really bad for them financially. And those pots and pans needed delivering. Anyway.
He knew from the beginning.
Yeah,
it was a wash.
Yeah. Here's a quote from the Prager Security International textbook, Shadow Force, Private Security Contractors in Iraq. It was Blackwater management, not the State Department, that reduced the preparation time for the ill-fated security detail so that they were dropped in place in their first day on the job. It was Blackwater management that decided to send out a 4-man detail instead of the usual 6. It was Blackwater that decided to send the detail in soft-skinned instead of armored vehicles. It was Blackwater that decided not to give the detail machine guns as required by contract. So,
oh my god! So you even reached the fucking guy. That's just lazy. It's like you didn't even fucking follow through on the contract.
Yeah, and I'm sure if there's one thing you could have definitely found in Iraq at that time, it was extra machine guns. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of them.
What
do
they mean by that? Like mounted, like 50 cal?
I don't think. I
mean
anything bigger than like an M4, but I think that's all they were armed with. It was just 4 guys with personal weapons.
Oh wow!
Which you don't want to roll through. It's kind of risky to roll through Fallujah today with that.
Yeah. Oh my god. Because he's cheap.
Just because he's cheap.
Yeah. He can't ever accept that something could be a failure like that.
But you might have to say, we can't do the mission right now.
Right.
Leave the pots and pans. Maybe they get stolen.
Right.
Whatever. Like, it can't go today.
Better than people losing their lives.
You would think, if you were a human being.
Yeah, but when you're looking at an $11 million contract.
Clearly, whoever was working with the other security company that said no was a human being and was like, no, people are going to get killed, and it's not worth it for pots and pans.
Because that's probably someone with, like, functional... like
a basic moral
experience
code.
Though too be like I've had to deal with that and that's not something I want to repeat, right?
No, this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
It cannot be responsibly done, so we will not do it.
I have no battlefield experience and I would just be like, what are you talking about?
It seems like our own rules say armored vehicles are necessary and these aren't.
I don't even take risks when I play like Sid Meier's Civilization, let alone like with real people's lives.
Oh, boy. So a lot of Erik Prince's book actually serves as not very covert legal defenses against the families of the men who died in this attack, all of whom have since sued Blackwater for negligence. Prince is very careful. He provides fawning hagiographies of how wonderful all of the guys who died were, even as he throws shade on the mission commander, a guy named Badalona, for deciding to go in. Quote, no one questioned Badalona's decision to accept the mission, especially since his insistence on shrinking the convoy showed that he was aware of the risks, because he asked to transport fewer vehicles because there were so few men. But I'm going to guess Badalona got pressured by somebody to do the mission.
Oh, no shit. It was probably like, yo, we'll give you another extra blah, 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 you know?
Who knows what they said. They were all new to the job, so they wanted to do a good, prove that they were company men, you know? Prince is unctuously kind to the families in his description of them. He lists in detail how he visited all of them and how he invited them to a thing at the Blackwater ranch or whatever. He talks about how sad he was, and he quotes from thank you letters that the families sent him before it became clear that negligence had been responsible for their loved ones' deaths and sued him. He quotes from like the letters grieving what wives sent him in the immediate aftermath of this before they knew all the details.
He got ahead of it by being really nice to them, basically, to try and fucking gaslight them.
And then they sent him letters because they were just grateful that he seemed so caring in this terrible moment, you know, because they knew there was danger. And then they realized, there was
this is your guilt manifested. Your kindness is manifested guilt.
He makes a huge point about the fact that one of the men's last paychecks for $9,000 was held up because he was dead and his wife couldn't cash it. So Prince notes that the company cut her a check directly and says, quote, if the estate comes after us for the money, then so be it, reads one of our internal staff emails from the time. It sounds like the kids need the money. So he makes a big show about the fact that he made it slightly easier for them to get $9,000 that they were owed, but then, didn't fought the families in court over paying them out anything extra over the fact that they had, sent their loved ones into a dangerous situation without the proper equipment, without the equipment that their own company's rules said that was necessary. I think moments like these really reveal how little Erik Prince believes human beings ought to be expected to do for one another.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the things that strikes out to me. Like, to a normal person, this is the least gesture you would expect from a company who had gotten one of your relatives killed, and he acts like it's a great humanizing anecdote for Blackwater.
He's from outer space.
Yeah. One of the funny through lines for this book is Erik's refusal to call his men mercenaries. He's continuously offended at the mere thought of that, and then he drops in lines like this about the men who died in Fallujah and the legal complications around that. So they weren't combatants, but they weren't non-combatants. Badalona, Zovko, Helvinson, and Teague were civilians, but they were armed, ultimately at the behest of the Department of Defense, pursuing dangerous missions. The four fell into a glaring gray area of international law that experts in Geneva and beyond have continued to debate for years. Yeah.
Okay.
What do you call civilians with guns in a war zone
doing dangerous missions
for money?
Yeah.
If only there was a term for that.
Right. Fucking mercenary.
What is that? I've never heard of that.
I'm sorry, Hessians. We call them Hessians. The only thing I would call a mission was like in high school would be like go to 7-Eleven for blunt wraps or like something like that. Like, yo, bust a mish. That's the only mission as a civilian. You're busting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you'd carry guns in to get those blunt wraps, you would have been the same as these guys.
The valley was pretty safe. You know what I mean?
Boy. Okay. So we're not going to take a point-by-point look at every fucked up defense Erik puts together, but we're going to talk a little bit more about the Nisar Square massacre. Now, this is where several of Erik's employees fired machine guns and grenades into a crowd, killing 14 and wounding a shitload of people. Their story and the story Prince tells is that they were taking heavy incoming fire. Prince repeatedly references incoming AK-47 fire and points out that a bullet damaged the coolant line of one of their vehicles. Now, that doesn't gel with the testimony of Jeremy Ridgway, a Blackwater ex-employee who was at Nisar. I'm going to quote Fox News' summary of it. Just so you know, I'm not picking out some lefty source to make these guys look
Right.
bad.
This is the Fox. This is probably the most charitable version.
Ridgway told a jury that he didn't see any Iraqis pointing guns in Nisar Square and that there were no telltale muzzle flashes in the distance, that there was no incoming fire, and that there was no sound of AK-47 rounds going off, as would be the case if insurgents were shooting at the Blackwater guards from nearby. Now, you'll remember maybe that a lot of these people were shot in the back. The civilians who died were found to have been shot in the back while they were running away, as a normal person would say it. Erik Prince phrases it as they were shot in the back, presumably mistaken for retreating insurgents. So...
Wow.
The military looked over everything, and their experts, who sure as shit had no vested interest in making it look like anyone had committed a war crime in Iraq, determined that this had been an excessive shooting. There had been no sign of incoming fire. Prince summarizes their view of the incident as a one-sided shooting rather than a massacre. Then he says, "It's safe to say that my men and I disagree with that assessment."
Except for the one that literally disagreed with
except
that
for
assessment.
the guy who testified
in a jury, right?
Whatever.
Let's not get hung up on that.
Let's not get hung up on that. Now, most of Erik's evidence seems to be that the investigators, or that his own investigators, later found a bullet in the grill of one of Blackwater's trucks. He says that the vehicles had been shot up in all of the fighting, but that they had to. DoD rules said that all of the vehicles had to be in good repair, so we were required by contract to immediately repair the vehicles, and that's why there wasn't.
Oh, right. And we didn't really take pictures either, but they were there.
He says they took pictures. He hasn't.
But where they at?
Where they at?
Yeah.
Don't
know.
It did. I'm gonna guess if he had pictures, it went to the Army, and they did not find them compelling.
Right.
They did find a bullet in the grill of one of Blackwater's trucks, but it was just a bullet. We don't know what type of bullet it was. It was damaged enough that they could not definitively tie it to any particular kind of weapon. And we know that Blackwater's men were shooting like crazy. Bullets ricochet. In a war zone where people are shooting, bullets wind up in weird fucking places.
Right.
It's entirely possible one of their rounds ricocheted and got embedded in the grill of this truck. No way to say one way or the other. A single bullet in the grill of this truck is thin evidence to hold against the Army when their investigators say nobody was shooting at you.
Right.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Now, in 2014, 4 of Prince's men were convicted, 3 of them for manslaughter and 1 for first-degree murder. But last August 2017, a federal appeals court threw out the convictions for 3 of them in order to retrial. The man with the murder conviction, Nicholas Slatton, was a sniper who the government accused of having fired the first shots. But during the trial, another mercenary admitted to shooting first, so his conviction was dropped. The other 2 had their convictions thrown out because the prosecutors had used a U.S. law made to prosecute domestic criminals to give them extra long sentences since they had committed the crime with machine guns. So basically, if you commit a crime in the U.S. with a machine gun, you get an additional sentence.
Right.
The prosecutors were saying basically, look at all the people these guys killed. We owe it to those dead civilians to try and get these guys as much time as possible. So they used that law. But the jury rightfully was like, it was their job to carry machine guns. It is bullshit to give them extra time for that.
Criminals who
That's not what's
illegally
wrong here.
Right, yeah.
So they didn't get off the case because they were legitimately innocent. It was the prosecutors'
technicality, who were a little overzealous.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Erik ends his book by talking about his charities and making it seem like he's enjoying the peaceful retirement of a true American hero. Quote, "It remains to be seen what my future might hold. Tomorrow is one less day than I've got now, and only God knows how many more I'll have. But in the meantime, I'm enjoying a quieter life. I had a small Hobie cat, which is a type of boat, delivered to our home in Abu Dhabi today, shortly after my family relocated. The kids are still learning their way around the fiberglass catamaran, the same way I once poked around with our Boston whaler back in Michigan. But most every day in Abu Dhabi is a good day to swim across the bay, catching the next gust of wind and teaching my own children to feel at home on the water." Of course, while he was in Abu Dhabi writing this, he was also teaching an army of Colombian mercenaries to fight on behalf of the Emirati government. Dozens of those men and God knows how many other people are now dead in Yemen.
Okay.
It's hard to
and the
say.
catamarans, too. Like, little link to now.
And now
It's
he's
like,
armed catamarans.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say what the future's going to be for Erik Prince, his new Navy, and the new Air Force I'm sure he's right around the corner from getting his hands on. I'm going to guess whatever that future is, it's going to involve a lot of body bags.
Oh, wow.
Eric.
I'm just living a quiet life now in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
What the
Training a small mercenary army for a repressive theocratic regime.
Exactly.
Like you do. I'm like the guys at the end of Shawshank Redemption, but with a mercenary army that's going to be used to commit war crimes in Yemen.
Hessians. Let's call them Hessians. Oh, well, it's so wild because he truly is
wacky.
like the physical manifestation of capitalism in the military-industrial complex. Like
all in one man.
In one fucking man.
It's
like
amazing.
The worst parts of all of those things just expressed themselves in the goo that turned into Erik Prince.
Yeah, it's like the military-industrial complex had a baby. And
with late-stage capitalism.
And there it is. It's Erik fucking Prince.
Wow.
One of the worst people who's ever lived.
A true bastard, for sure. True fucking bastard.
Yeah. In fact, I'm gonna bump him above bastard and call him a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
Erik Prince, everybody. All right, Miles, you got some pluggables to plug.
Oh, let's see. Well, yeah, Glade plugins, guys. They're available at most supermarkets right now. Please take that. Airwick, also another pluggable I love. But
love
if you're
all
more
the free ads on
interested,
this podcast.
look, GlaxoSmithKline, SC Johnson Wax, please holler at us. If you are looking for the more podcast route, I'm on the Daily Zeitgeist with Jack O'Brien. We do that every day, talking news and culture, whatever's in the Zeitgeist, as it were. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Miles of Gray. That's about it.
You can find me on Twitter at iWriteOK. You can find my book on Amazon, A Brief History of Vice. I recreate weird ancient drugs and damage my body. You can find this podcast on the internet at BehindTheBastards.com, where you will find all of the sources for this episode. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter at @BastardsPod. So check us out. Check us out on TeePublic, where we have a store, Behind the Bastards. You can buy our T-shirts there, and some of that money will go to me, and I will use that money to buy the liquor that I will use to drink myself into forgetting that Erik Prince exists. So, help a brother out with buying T-shirts, and
also let's get this Doritos campaign going.
Let's tweet. What did we decide on?
Why I eat Doritos?
Right.
If
why
you
I
have
eat
that,
Doritos.
because guys, what we're trying to do is connect a action from the consumer to a media source, and this is how capitalism
And in
works,
fairness, hundreds of you have already tweeted us
I'm
the Doritos
so
you bought.
impressed when I see your guys' social media and seeing the amount of people just like posing with Doritos.
It's like dozens a week sometimes.
Part of me gets really upset though that it's this free advertising with no.
I mean, it's a good product. I am all right with that.
You got the Stockholm syndrome. You're like, it's fine. One day they'll recognize me.
And I do hope one day they will. But these are delicious.
Well, if anything, we can say you are the Erik Prince of Doritos.
Thank you. Make me the Erik Prince of Doritos. Tweet why I love Doritos.
Hashtag why I eat Doritos.
Hashtag why I eat Doritos. Attach at the Doritos Company at this podcast. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get my own catamaran.
What?
With a machine gun on it. I really hope so.
You know what's actually going to happen?
What?
Doritos is going to steal your hashtag and do an actual ad campaign for like themselves and put you in the cold. That's how this shit works.
If that's what happens, that's what happens.
And
my hope is that they buy me a catamaran with a machine gun.
Yeah.
I mean,
could you imagine? That's how this story actually is like, hey, look, sorry we couldn't get in bed with you with the Doritos thing. Here's a catamaran with machine gun.
It is a catamaran with a machine gun.
Sorry, it's soft skinned.
You know,
we can't go all the way.
I don't plan on delivering kitchen supplies.
It's much heavier when you have an armored catamaran.
All right, guys. I love about 40% of you and Brian. Bye.
A BetterHelp ad. We get it. February is full of flowers, candy, and, of course, lots of talk about relationships. It can feel like everyone else has it all together in their love lives. But the truth is, we're all still figuring it out. Whether you're working on your marriage, navigating the dating apps, or prioritizing staying single, no matter where you are, you're right on time. Therapy can help you find your way and take some of the pressure off yourself so you can determine what you want, what feels heavy, and how you can feel lighter. Just a little bit of outside perspective from a professional can lead to new understanding and a lot of progress. So the next time you're feeling iffy about your love life, try therapy with BetterHelp and see where it takes you. And remember, you're right on time. Visit BetterHelp.com for 10% off. That's BetterHelp.com.
This is Bethany Frankel from Just Be with Bethany Frankel. Let me be blunt. Most dog food is junk. It just is. And I'm not feeding junk to Biggie and Smalls. That is why they eat Just Food for Dogs. It's real, 100% human-grade food with ingredients I actually recognize, not mystery pellets pretending to be healthy. And once I switched, the difference was obvious. Better digestion, better skin, more energy, dogs who actually feel good instead of just surviving dinner. Here's the thing. You care about quality. You make an intentional choice to be healthy. So why are you gambling with your dog's health? So let's think about our furry babies. Go to justfoodfordogs.com right now and get 50% off your first box. No code, just try it. Because once you see the difference, you're not going back.
Tired of spills and stains on your sofa? Wash away your worries with Anabay. Anabay is the only designer sofa that's machine washable inside and out, starting at just $699. Plus, Anabay sofas are pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and feature changeable slip covers and modular pieces. Get up to 60% off site-wide with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Visit washablesofas.com to get yours now. That's washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
There's no championship league for small business owners. But if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation. One-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Lenovo. This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.